Sometimes we call it procrastination when it's actually fear, burnout, disappointment, or just survival. And sometimes those patterns become the very thing keeping us stuck. I'm Kara, and welcome to Pursuers of Purpose. One of the reasons this kind of conversation is deeply meaningful to me is because I've always been fascinated by human behavior. Like why we do what we do and why we don't do what we wish we did. I'm a former social worker, and by nature, I tend to notice patterns, emotional responses, coping mechanisms, fear responses, protective behaviors, and the ways that our experiences shape how we move through life. But this is not just a science, it's a lot more personal for me. I have personally experienced many of the challenges that can make us find pursuing purpose difficult. Challenges like fear, like being practical, caring a lot about other people and what they think, how they feel, exhaustion, uncertainty, disappointment, and also the tension between responsibility and calling. Over the years, I've also had the incredible privilege of walking with people who are carrying similar struggles through their own experiences. So today, I want to introduce something I've been working on called the Purpose Archetypes. These are not labels. They're not diagnoses. They're simply compassionate observations of patterns that many of us move through at different seasons of life. My hope, my prayer is that these archetypes will help us to feel seen, understood, and encouraged, not judged. Because awareness often becomes the beginning of healing. Archetype 1, the practical protector. We're going to call her Safe Sally. Before we talk about Sally, I want to say this clearly. Many Safe Sallys are incredibly responsible. They're wise, dependable women. Often they have carried so much. They've managed a lot, and they've learned very early that stability mattered. Sometimes practicality became protection. Safe Sally is responsible. She's dependable. She's practical. She's hardworking. She often prioritizes stability, predictability, and responsibility over deeper calling. At some point, safety became more important than possibility. She may deeply desire more, but fear tells her, what if pursuing purpose disrupts everything? Safe Sally often struggles to trust God beyond logic, beyond structure, and what feels manageable. If you see yourself in Sally, I want you to know this. You are not weak for wanting stability after carrying so much responsibility. But I do believe you will be safer in God's obedience than in fear-based self-protection. Archetype 2, the hidden creative. We're going to call her Hidden Hannah. Many hidden Hannahs are deeply gifted people who became quiet after criticism, after dealing with comparison, rejection, or disappointment. Often hiding didn't begin as insecurity, it began as self-protection. Hidden Hannah is gifted, she's imaginative, thoughtful, and very creative. But somewhere along the way, all that criticism, all that comparison, rejection, insecurity, or fear caused her to hide. Now, she may start things, but rarely share them. She overthinks. She waits until things feel perfect. And often, Hidden Hannah is not lacking talent at all. She's lacking safety. She's lacking confidence. If you see yourself here, your gifts still matter. Even if fear once convinced you to bury them for a season. Now, you do not have to become fearless overnight. That feels reckless, I know. But you may simply need to begin letting yourself be seen again. Archetype 3, the exhausted caregiver. We're going to call her Everything to Everyone Emma. Many Emmas are deeply loving people who spent years being strong for everyone else. Often, they became so focused on caring for others that they slowly disappeared from their own life. Emma has spent so much of her life pouring into everyone else that she barely remembers what she wants or needs anymore. She's compassionate, she's nurturing, loyal, dependable. But somewhere along the way, she learned to prioritize everyone else's needs above her own. She often feels guilty resting. She feels guilty dreaming. She feels guilty making space for herself. And eventually, exhaustion begins to drown out her purpose. If you feel like Emma, I want you to know this. Your worth was never supposed to be measured only by how much you give to everyone else. You are allowed to rest. God instructs us to. So you're required to rest. You are allowed to heal. And you are still worthy of having dreams. Archetype 4, the delayed dreamer. We're going to call her Waiting Wendy. Many Waiting Wendy's are thoughtful, they're intelligent, they're capable, and they genuinely want to make wise decisions. Often the delay is not at all laziness. It's fear, it's uncertainty, overthinking, or the pressure to feel like they need to get everything exactly right. Waiting Wendy has dreams. She has great ideas. She has big vision, and she has amazing potential. But she keeps waiting for the perfect time, the perfect amount of confidence, the perfect plan, and the perfect confirmation. She often mistakes over preparing for progress. And many Waiting Wendy's are not at all incapable. They're just afraid to begin imperfectly. I identify with her. And if you're a Waiting Wendy, know this. Clarity often grows while we move, not before we move. You do not need perfect certainty to take your next faithful, right step. Archetype 5, the wounded warrior. We're going to call her guarded grace. Many guarded graces are not hard-hearted people. They're people who loved deeply, who hoped greatly, trusted immensely, and then they experienced pain that changed them. Guarded grace has often experienced disappointment, betrayal, grief, failure, heartbreak, and pain. And slowly, self-protection began appearing safer than vulnerability. She often still loves God deeply, but she struggles to hope fully again. Many guarded graces are quietly grieving the parts of themselves that they had to shut down in order to survive. If you're a guarded grace, protecting your heart may have seemed like it helped you survive, but healing is going to require allowing God to gently soften the places that pain taught you to close off and to harden. Archetype 6, the approval seeker. We're going to call her Pleaser Penny. Many pleaser pennies learned very early that approval felt connected to safety, belonging, love, or acceptance. Often, people-pleasing begins as an adaptation, not a weakness. Pleaser Penny often filters purpose through the opinions and expectations of others. She wants to be loved. She wants to be accepted. She wants to be approved of. So she hesitates to fully become who God created her to be if it risks disappointing people. Many pleaser pennies have spent so much time adapting to others that they struggle to hear themselves clearly anymore. If you're a pleaser penny, you don't have to earn your worth through constant approval. And sometimes obedience to God will require disappointing people who are comfortable with the smaller version of you. So there you have it. Those are my 6 purpose archetypes. But here's the beautiful thing. These archetypes are not permanent identities. They're just patterns. And patterns can change. Healing can happen. Confidence can grow. Trust can deepen. And courage can develop. And over time, many of us begin growing into healthier versions of ourselves. For instance, Safe Sally can become Courageous Claire. Hidden Hannah can become Bold Bethany. Everything to Everyone Emma can become Wholehearted Hope. Especially with God, growth is absolutely possible. So I would genuinely love to know, which of these archetypes resonated most with you? You may see yourself in more than one. I know I sure do. And that's completely normal. And over the next several weeks, we're going to dive deeply into each archetype individually. We're going to look at the fears, the patterns, the healing, mindset shifts, practical growth, and encouragement connected to each one. And my prayer is that these conversations will help us to move closer to the life, the calling, the healing, the freedom, and the purpose God created us for. If you're encouraged by this, make sure you subscribe and share this video with someone you think might need it. And remember, God is not done. He wastes nothing, So you are not behind, you are not disqualified, and you are not too late. Take care and dare to pursue your purpose.